Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of the Bull Character time-lapse series. In this part I'm going to clean up a few more details of the mesh, and then I'm going to combine all of the parts and clean up the seams from combining them, and then we're going to get into the texture painting that we'll use to color our hair later on and start to add hair particles. Here I'm just sculpting the eyelids and adding a few more minor details to the head. So I'm correcting some minor details that I had found while looking back at these old videos. So I just want to make sure that I'm happy with the mesh before I start to combine all of the pieces. Okay, so now I'm starting to combine the mesh pieces. I use what's called the Boolean modifier to combine them, and then where they touch at the seam, they will cut off each mesh so that they are one smooth piece and there's nothing sticking through. And then it'll make a copy of each individual piece that is not part of the main mesh, and I save those into a different collection within the file so that if I ever need the head separate, I can come back and grab that. And you can see once they're combined, it just takes a little bit of sculpting with the smooth tool to get rid of the seams that pop up when you combine them. That's showing using the smooth tool to get rid of the seams, and it works pretty nice. All right, now I'm just making the detailing level consistent with the draw tool on 0 strength. This way, when I get ready to add some paint for texturing, the mesh will be more consistent. Okay, so this here is UV unwrapping, and I let Blender do it automatically. But basically this allows me to paint onto a flat image, and the computer will unwrap the character onto that flat image to understand where to put the paint. So now that I've added an image to the model, I can go ahead and paint directly onto the model to color it. Takes just a few clicks to set up the brush. Now I'm going to start with his hooves. Then I'll paint on this model, I'll paint any part of exposed skin in black, and then I'll use that to define some texturing later on. Now I'm going to paint some horns, starting with kind of a lighter tan color, and then I'll add a little bit of additional paint to it to break up the uniform color. So I have my base color. Now I'm just gonna kind of even out the color, and then I'll add some splotches of darker material to make it look rough and dirty. And then I can come back and smooth or remove detail to vary the added texture. The areas of wear, like at the ends, will appear to be brighter, and protected areas like the base will not be modified as much. Here I'm using a texture brush that has some randomness to it, and I'm just painting splotches to make kind of a mixed color effect. Doing this just adds a little extra variation. Okay, here I was just previewing the colors. All right, now that we have the base colors and I'm happy with the mesh and everything's combined, I'm going to start to add additional details. Here you can see I painted the area for these hair particles to apply, and then I just go into the hair system and add hairs in that location, and then I can brush them to make them the shape I want. Adding hairs in that way will make them look a lot more realistic than if I were to just paint on a flat image of hair. So I try to use as many hair particles as I can, but they're very difficult on the computer to run. So same process here for his head. Paint an area, and then I can play with the hair particle settings to change how they look and how long they are. So there I added a hair shader to the hair particles by adding a material, and doing that will treat the hairs separate from how the system treats the base mesh or the base colors. And this way I can tune the hair to look more realistic, since the settings don't interfere with the base mesh material. Then here I'm just rendering the hair to see what it will really look like when I am done. And I'll use this hair for all of the highlights on his body, so if I can get it to look decent at this stage, I'll save it, and I'll just be able to apply it later without rebuilding it. All right, well, that's it for this part. The next parts, we're going to add a few more spots of hair, and then we'll try to get hair on the rest of his body, and we'll get a render.